How Much Land Does a Man Need? By Leo Tolstoy. There once was a peasant named Pahom who worked hard and honestly for his family, but who had no land of his own, so he always remained as poor as the next man. Close to Pahom's village, there lived a lady, a small landowner, who had an estate of about 300 acres and about to sell her land. Pahom heard that a neighbor of his was buying 50 acres and that the lady had consented to accept one half in cash and to wait a year for the other half. Look at that, Pahom thought. The land is being sold and I shall get none of it. So he spoke to his wife. Other people are buying it and we must also buy 20 acres or so. Life is so becoming impossible without our own land. So they put their heads together and considered how they could manage to buy it. They had 100 rubles laid by. They sold a colt and one half of their beasts, hired out one of their sons as a laborer, and took his wages in advance. They borrowed the rest from a brother-in-law and so scraped together half the purchase money. Having done this, Pahom chose a farm of 40 acres, some of it wooded, and went to the lady and bought it. So now Pahom had land on his own. He borrowed seed and sowed it, and the harvest was a good one. So he became a landowner, plowing and sowing his own land, making hay on his own land, cutting his own trees, and feeding his cattle on his own pasture. When he went out to plow his fields, or to look at his growing corn, or at his meadows, his heart would fill with joy. The grass that grew and the flower that bloomed, there seemed to him unlike any other, grew elsewhere. Formerly, when he had passed by that land, it had appeared the same as any other land, but now it seemed quite different. One day, Pahom was sitting at home when a peasant passing through the village happened to stop in. Pahom asked where he came from, and the stranger answered that he came from beyond the Volga, where he had been working. One word led to another, and the man went on to say that much land was for sale there, and that many people were moving there to buy it. The land was so good, he said. Pahom's heart was filled with desire. Why would I suffer in this narrow hole, he thought. If one can live so well elsewhere, I will sell my land and my homestead here, and with the money I will start fresh over there and get everything new. So Pahom sold his land and homestead and cattle, all at a profit, and moved his family to the new settlement. Everything the peasant had told him was true, and Pahom was 10 times better off than he had been. He bought plenty of arable land and pasture, and could keep as many head of cattle as he liked. At first, in the bustle of building and settling down, Pahom was pleased with it all. But when he got used to it, he began to think that even here he was not satisfied. He wanted to sow more wheat, but had not enough land of his own for the purpose. So he rented extra land for 3 years. The season turned out well and the crops was good, so that he began to lay money by. He might have gone on living comfortably, but he grew tired of having to rent other people's land every year and having to scramble to pay for it. Then one day, a passing land dealer said he was just returning from the land of Bashkirs, far away, where he had bought 13,000 acres of land, all for only 1,000 rubles. All one need to do is to make friends with the chief, he said. I gave away about 100 rubles worth of dressing gowns and carpets, beside a case of tea, and I gave a wine to those who would drink it, and I got the land for sale than 2 pence an acre. There now, thought Pahom, out there I can get more than 10 times as much land as I have now. I must try it. So, Pahom left his family to look after the homestead and started on the journey, taking his servant with him. They stopped at a town on their way and bought a case of tea, some wine, and other presents, as the tradesman had advised him. On and on they went until they had gone more than 300 miles. As soon as they saw Pahom, they came out of their tents and gathered around their visitor. Pahom took presents out of his cart and distributed them, and told them he had come about some land. The Bashkir seemed very glad and told him he must talk to their chief about it. They sent him and explained to him why Pahom had come. The chief listened for a while, then made a sign with his head for them to listen, and addressing himself to Pahom, said, "Well, it be so. Choose whatever piece of land you like. We have plenty of it." "And what will be the price?" asked Pahom. "Our price is always the same, 1,000 rubles a day." Pahom did not understand. "A day? What measures is that? How many acres would that be?" "We do not know how reckon it out," said the chief. "We sell it day by day. As much as you can go round on your feet in a day is yours, and the price is 1,000 rubles a day." Pahom was surprised. "But in a day you can get round at a large tract of land," he said. The chief laughed. "It will all be yours," said he, "but there is one condition. If you don't return on the same day to the spot whence you started, your money is lost." "But how am I to mark the way that I have gone?" "Why, we shall go to any spot you like and stay there. You must start from the spot and make your round, taking a spade with you. Wherever you think necessary, make a mark. At every turning, dig a hole and pile up the turf. Then afterward, you will go round with a plough from hole to hole. You may make as large a circuit as you please, but before the sun sets you must return to the place you started from. All the land you cover will be yours." "See," said he, "all this as far as your eyes can reach is yours. You may have any part of it you like." Pahom's eyes glistened. It was all virgin soil. The chief took off his fox fur cap, placed it on the ground, and said, "This will be the mark. Start from here and return here again. All the land you go round shall be yours." Pahom took out the money and put it on the cap. Then he took off his outer coat, remaining in his sleeveless undercoat, put a little bag of bread into the breast of his coat, and tying a flask of water to his girdle, took the spade from his man and stood ready to start. He considered for some moments which way he had better go. It was tempting elsewhere. "No matter," he concluded, "I will go toward the rising sun." He turned his face at the east, stretched himself, and waited for the sun to appear above the rim. "I must lose no time," he thought, "and it is easier walking while it is still cool." Pahom started walking neither slowly nor quickly. After having gone 1,000 yards, he stopped, dug a hole, and placed pieces of turf, one on another, and now he had walked off his stiffness. He quickened his pace. After a while, he dug another hole. At a rough guess, Pahom concluded that he had walked 3 miles. It was growing warmer. He looked at the sun. It was time to think of breakfast. He sat down, took off his boots, stuck them into his girdle, and went on. It was easy walking now. I will go on for another 3 miles, thought he. This spot is so fine that it would be a pity to lose it. The farther one goes, the better the land seems. Ah, thought Pahom, I have gone far enough in this direction. It is time to turn. Besides, I am in a regular sweat and very thirsty. He untied his flask, had a drink, and then turned sharply to the left. He went on and on. The grass was high and it was very hot. Pahom began to grow tired. He looked at the sun and saw that it was noon. Well, he thought, I must have a rest. He sat down and ate some bread and drank some water, but he did not lie down, thinking that if he did, he might fall asleep. After sitting a while, he went on again. At first, he walked easily. The food had strengthened him, but it had become terribly hot, and he felt sleepy. Still, he went on, thinking, an hour to suffer, a lifetime to live. The heat made the air hazy. It seemed to be quivering, and through the haze the people on the hillock could scarcely be seen. No, he thought, though it will make my land lopsided, I must hurry back in a straight line now. I might go too far, and as it is, I have a great deal of land. So Pahom hurriedly dug a hole and turned straight toward the hillock. Pahom went straight toward the hillock, but he now walked with difficulty. He was done up with the heat. His bare feet were cut and bruised, and his legs began to fall. He longed to rest, but it was impossible. Oh dear, he thought, if only I have not blundered trying for too much. What if I am too late? He looked toward the hillock and at the sun. He was still far from his goal, and the sun was already near the rim. Pahom walked on and on. It was very hard walking, but he went quicker and quicker. He pressed on, but was still far from the place. He began running, threw away his coat, his boots, his flax, and his cap, and kept only the spade, which he used as a support. What shall I do? He thought again. I have grasped too much and ruined the whole affair. I can't get there before the sun sets. Though afraid of death, he could not stop. After having run all the way, they will call me a fool if I stop now, thought he. And he ran on, and drew near, and heard the Bashkirs yelling and shouting to him, and their cries inflamed his heart still more. He gathered his last strength and ran on. Pahom could already see the people on the hillock, waving their arms to hurry him up. He could see the fox fur cap on the ground and the money on it, and the chief sitting on the ground holding his sides. There is plenty of land, thought he, but will God let me live on it? I have lost my life. I have lost my life. I shall never reach that spot. Pahom looked at the sun, which had reached the earth. One side of it had already disappeared. Before it sat the chief laughing and holding his sides. Pahom uttered a cry. His legs gave way beneath him. He fell forward and reached the cup with his hands. Ah, that's a fine fellow, exclaimed the chief. He has gained much land. Pahom's servant came running up and tried to raise him, but he saw that blood was flowing from his mouth. Pahom was dead. The Bashkirs clicked their tongues to show their pity. His servant picked up the spade and dug a grave long enough for Pahom to lie in, and buried him in it. 6 feet from his head to his heels was all